Thanks, Renee. Welcome, everyone. You are in the right place if you're showing up for my presentation tonight called How to Break the Rules, Effective Boundary Setting Skills so that you can feel energized, you can feel healthy, you can feel joyful, you can feel creative and focused and prosperous. Boundary setting will help you in every area of your life. And I want to make sure tonight that I have time to answer all of your questions, well, as much as possible. So please save them for when I give opportunity to unmute. And if you could all mute, that would be wonderful. I'm going to share with you my screen. Let me see here. So that you can see what I see. And I can share with you my presentation. Okay. I'm getting it. Oh, interesting. Thanks for your patience. It looks like possibly I have accidentally given someone the permission to be host, and or no, I am. There we go. All right, so let me know if you can see my screen here. Yeah, you can see me and all of you, right? 1 second. Okay, now you should see my presentation. Just give me a thumbs up or a yes in the chat. Okay, thanks, Renee. So I'm going to see if I can minimize this. Okay, perfect. All right. So what I want to share with you, oh man. Okay, hopefully you can see that again. Sorry for this technical difficulty. I am figuring it out. All right. Let's do it again. Okay, that should be good. So I want to share with you, oh my goodness, I am not sure if you guys can see what I'm sharing. I think I popped off. Can someone chime in and unmute and let me know if my screen sharing stopped? There, I should be on, but give me a thumbs up in the chat because
It's good now.
it's
It's
good
here.
now. Okay, great. Okay, thanks. Okay, so after that long intermission, here we go. So we're talking about breaking the rules, right? And effective boundary setting. And I have a lot to share with you. My name's Amy Engelmark, if we haven't met yet. And today's class is a culmination of research that I've done, information that I've gathered from many, many private coaching sessions, group calls, audience members that I've interviewed after presentations that I've given. And I have come up with a system that I use in my own life and in clients' lives to help people stay energized and happy while they pursue big professional dreams and goals. And I'm going to share that with you today. And specifically going to share with you 2 keys that will really help you maintain your energy, maintain your health, maintain your joy, maintain your strong relationships, and feel professionally fulfilled instead of sacrificing one for the other. So, we're going to be covering the mindset to help you stay healthy and maintain your joy, and also the effective, tangible strategies that you can use to set boundaries in your personal life and in your professional life. A little background on me: I've worked with clients from all over. Some of them are from England, Denmark, Canada, the States. I offer consulting and advising to thought leaders, creatives, entrepreneurs, healthcare professionals. And like I said, I help them achieve joy and calmness while achieving big professional goals and being change makers in the world. There's my husband there as we're hanging out one summer. You can't see me at the top there at the stage, but there I'm presenting down at the Tainamara for a retreat. And here I am over in Hawaii. So here's some of the places I've been able to travel because of what I teach and how I've designed my business, and a lot of what I'm going to share with you this evening. And I'm really thrilled you're with me. So we've spent a fair amount of time in Hawaii, and I'm really thankful for the lifestyle that we have. My boys have experienced time there with grandparents, and I've spent a fair amount of time as well in Thailand. And one thing I can say is that working towards your dreams is worth it. It may seem difficult and it may seem painful to set the boundaries necessary to create the life that you want, but it's worth it. It's all worth it. Here's some of the people I've worked with. I'll just be on this slide really quickly, just to give you an example of some of the companies and organizations that I've helped. And now let's hop into some storytelling. I have some really cool stories to share with you tonight that hopefully will help you think of boundaries in your own life that you want to set. So I was coaching someone, I'll call him Rob, and he was quite unhappy in his professional life. And he felt like he couldn't quit. He felt like my family are not quitters. I come from a line of people who stick it out. And that means a lot to me. It means that I'm strong, it means I'm capable, I'm resilient, and we don't give up. And yet the reason we were sitting together and having that coaching conversation was because he was unhappy and unfulfilled in his career. And he started displaying to me in our conversation that he felt afraid of making a career move, even though he'd been unhappy for so long. He didn't like that he was feeling disrespected and undervalued at work. He wasn't utilizing his skills and his strengths the way he wanted to. And yet he wasn't doing anything about it because he was letting the fearful thoughts control him. There's a boundary violation there. Side note, we'll talk about that in a little bit. So those thoughts made him emotionally feel hopeless, feel powerless. I want you to put in the chat if you can relate to how he felt. If you've had times where you felt hopeless or powerless, like you couldn't do anything about your situation, and you felt like you needed to put up with something instead of change it. And you just wanted to point a finger at other people instead of take responsibility and do something about it to make your future and your present so much better. This is so common. And what really flipped the switch for him was this belief that I matter. I matter too. My happiness matters. I actually have a choice. I can do something about this. I can change my situation. I'm capable of doing scary things. And he started to list the proof that he'd done hard things in the past, that he was capable of doing hard things in the future, and that he was worth making those leaps for. And you know what? He is now able to say, he told me this, this happened a while back, but he's told me that because of the conversation that we had, he changed how he thought about himself. He changed how he thought about what was possible. That charged him emotionally to, in order to take the steps, the practical steps that he needed to take to remove himself from that workplace where he didn't feel respected or valued, and he felt like he was underutilizing his skill sets, and jump into work that has been so fulfilling, where he really feels like he's adding to the community and doing meaningful work, and he has time for himself. So this is where I would like to pause and ask you to chime in. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'd like you to unmute and let me know if, let me just change this here. I want you to let me know if there are thoughts that you think you've been thinking that make it difficult for you to prioritize yourself and what would make you happy. If you don't want to unmute, you don't have to, but I want you to raise your hand somehow and say, and let me know if you can relate, if you can relate. And if you want to share what you think that thought might be that make it difficult for you to take the action that would actually add more joy or add more energy to your life, what thought makes it difficult for you to do that? Feel free to add your comment or unmute.
Mine would be that it's really hard and exhausting to run two businesses, especially where one, as it's, starting. So there's extra work without rewards so much that it's just exhausting and very time consuming.
Mhm. So the thought would be, might be, it's too hard. Am I on the right track, Yanni?
Running two businesses is hard and exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How about anyone else? Thanks for sharing, Yanni. Carol, I think you said something. I don't have time. Okay. So remember Rob, we called him, he started changing how he thought about himself. I matter, my happiness matters. I'm going to find a way. I'm worth it. I'm worth making this effort, taking this risk for. My joy and my energy is so depleted now that I need to make a new decision, and I have to take responsibility to change this. Otherwise, nothing's going to change. So let's apply how a new belief in your situation might make it easier, will make it easier for you to prioritize the things that you need to prioritize so you can feel energized and you can feel lit up and you can feel joyful in your work and in your personal relationships. So let's just say you already believed that you were worth it. It was possible to find a way. then how could you demonstrate to yourself, if you're taking notes, you might want to write this down. What action would demonstrate to myself that I truly believe this? If I truly believed that it is possible to make the money that I want and be happier, then what action would I take to demonstrate that? Or it's truly possible for me to run this new business. I was speaking to a woman today who's got a new project off the ground, plus she runs a couple other businesses like you, Yanni, and she raises a child as a single parent. She's got a lot going on. And she might decide to believe for herself, it's possible for me to make time for myself and run these businesses and be a good single mom. So if she believes that's possible, then what are some ways that she would demonstrate that? So for example, and put it in the chat if you like. So for some ways might be, she might set an alarm on her phone for 20 minutes. And in that 20 minutes, she doesn't answer any calls. She lets her child know that she's unavailable. She just chills out at the beach. I don't know what she needs, but she thinks of an easy way to make it possible. Anyone want to unmute and share some ideas for yourself that would make it, if I was looking in on your life, your action would be a demonstration of a new belief? I know we're moving fast. This is usually a process that I work on with a client for like 60 minutes to develop a new system and framework for, one, reframing an old mindset, letting it go, choosing something new, and then aligning their actions with that new mindset. Renee, oh, did somebody unmute?
That's me. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just, it's right in my brain a little bit. I think when you're starting a new habit, it's just doing a little bit to get started, and trying to give yourself some motivation instead of just like forcing yourself to do something different, doing it as much as much as you can, or as much as you just get started. And I'm thinking about weightlifting, and sometimes you're like, I don't really want to do that, or the 2 days later you're so sore and you're like, I kind of just want to give up. But if you just do a little bit, you start kind of developing more of a, like you want to do it, and instead of just jumping in and doing it as hard as you can. Building
That's a great point.
new ideas or new habits, new ways of doing things, and just doing a little tiny bit.
Yeah, it's a great point, and it can be sustained, and you're not going to feel disappointed because you burnt yourself out so badly that you can't do it the next day and it hurt too much for you to want to. And before anyone else chimes in, if you felt like you were going to go, you were going to share after Jordan. Your name totally threw me off, Jordan. John says John, or maybe you are John. If you're still planning on speaking after Jordan, please hold your thought or write it down, because Jordan brought up something important, and that is that we may know, maybe you've known for like years that you need to change something in your life to feel more fulfilled, to feel more energized, more joyful, more balanced, but you haven't figured out how to motivate yourself. The motivation can be found in asking yourself, what's the cost if I don't change? What's the cost if I keep making excuses and validating why I can't find time for this, or why I won't take that risk, or why I won't make that change, or why I won't start that habit? What's it going to cost me? We have to think downriver. I call this downriver thinking. How's it going to cost me? What's it going to cost my children? What am I teaching them? What's it going to cost my spouse if I don't make this change? Like, all of this is crucial and important to reflect on, because if you don't, then you just think that the cost of changing is greater, but the cost of staying the same is actually greater. So use those answers that you get as new fodder for the fire, so that you make the effort to put the logs on, and then the flames start and you see the results of your efforts, because you just put one log on at a time, like Jordan was talking about. Okay, who else would like to share? Anyone else having something percolate that might be a demonstration of how you would act if you believed differently? Okay, feel free if you, or Vero, are you sharing?
I'm jumping.
Okay.
I'm thinking about going back to university and doing my master's, since I'm going to stay, since I have my babies, and I'm procrastinating this project because, you know, we do have a lot to do. And it's in my mind because I would like to go to another step in my career. It might be like vice principal in a few years. So I have to commit, but I need like someone to push me to just go, let's go, Vero, start that process. And it's going to take probably a year or two, or maybe 3, because I'm going to be working full time, mom, wife, friend, and a new student, right? So it's going to be a big thing. So I'm hesitating about the good timing, and all the process right now that I'm doing, it's about, do I need to wait that my kids will be okay? They are 12 and 16. So is that okay if I wait a little bit more? But I do have that voice telling me, you have to do it. You have to do it. So I'm in the process, and I think you're going to help me through that journey on those sessions. So yeah, I'm taking notes.
Awesome. Well, from prior experience, all throughout my life, I would highly recommend listening to that voice, because it's not something that is going to lead you down the wrong path. It will lead you down the right path. And that voice knows the best timing. And when we try and figure out the perfect timing, usually we start overanalyzing and trying to figure out the whole how it's going to work out, versus practicing living our lives leaning into trust instead of leaning into trying to control everything. And that doesn't mean that there isn't one better time versus another time. But if last year would have been a better time to get started than right now, then maybe now is still the best time, right? Something that might help you is asking yourself, what am I teaching the kids if I keep waiting? And what would I teach them if I took the leap now? And how could it help the kids? And how could it help my marriage? And how might it help me professionally if I started now instead of waiting? Okay, yes, Renee, you're right. Vero's kids will be inspired by her learning, for sure. And Carol is chiming in and saying the same thing, Vero. So you've got some encouragement there. Yanni says how she would act is take more time to do the fun things in life. So I want to share with you sometimes how we can, and then I'm going to get back to sharing my screen with you. We can tell ourselves that in order for us to accomplish what we want in a day, it has to look a certain way. There's just a perfect way to accomplish things. And I've learned that there's no one way to accomplish things. We are so unique that we need to listen to the way that works for us. And that process has taken me years of listening to that voice and trusting. So right before this call, maybe someone else would have been in front of the computer and they would have finished all of the fine comb details of the presentation by being in her office, like Amy should be in her office preparing for this presentation. But I knew that I prepare best to be in front of you and give you my best if I go for walks. So I was out walking for longer than I was in the office. And otherwise, I would have showed up, my eyes would have been tired, my back would have been sore because I've been in the office for long enough today. So pay attention to the signs and the things that your body and your spirit and your mind and your heart needs, and the ideas and the courage and the strength that you need to do what you need to do. Like Yanni's saying, she would take more time to do fun things. Well, Yanni's going to have explosive creative energy bursts because she's going to prioritize more fun. She's going to have ideas for business because she's going to prioritize more fun. She's going to be more attractive to clients because she's going to prioritize having fun. Yeah, I just wanted to make a joke about Jordan. Jordan's muscles are going to be great because his wife is going to be like, oh my goodness. From weightlifting, right, Jordan? So there's so many side benefits to us doing the uncomfortable, taking the uncomfortable actions that far outweigh the discomfort in the moment, right? Okay, let me get back to sharing my screen with you. So here's the top mindset I want you to take away tonight. I want you to take away that I matter, my happiness matters, and I'm going to throw in a third one. My dreams matter. For a long time, I didn't believe that my dreams mattered. And back to Rob, when he started believing that his happiness mattered and that his dreams mattered and his professional desires mattered, he did it. He took the leap. He jumped away from what felt secure and comfortable financially, what he'd known for years. And he jumped into his own career that he created for himself. He actually jumped into a couple new jobs. And he's feeling so much more joyful, so much more successful. And yes, was it a risk? It was. But what was the risk and the consequence that he would have paid if he was still in that job where he wasn't feeling respected, valued, or fulfilled? Where that kind of attitude and low feeling was brought back into his marriage. Not cool. Other people were paying consequences for him not taking a little bit of belief, a little bit of faith, a little bit of trust, and this new belief that I matter and my dreams matter and my happiness matters, and putting that into action. So much is possible for you too when you adopt a new mindset. So I want you to fill in the blank. Yanni's already done this, maybe you have as well, but if you demonstrated your new belief that you're going to take a stand for something, you're going to believe something is necessary enough and helpful enough, not only to you to set a new boundary and take a stand for something, but it's actually beneficial for others too. And maybe your whole community. Like sometimes, Vera, we think that our action is selfish. Well, if I go back to school, then I'll have less time with my children and my spouse and my friends, and I'll have less even time for the dog or whatever. But actually, if we're going to get into this, reframing what boundaries actually are and the job that they have, It's actually the most generous act you can make for your community is to make sure you are taking care of your own needs and paying attention to the dreams of your heart. Those dreams are put there to serve others, and it's okay if they actually make you happy. It's okay to enjoy your life and to enjoy your work even more. Just because you like your life doesn't mean that you're done growing. It's okay to be even happier. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, I want you to put in the chat, what do you think boundaries, like, let me know if this resonates with you. Have you ever felt like boundaries are rude or selfish or uncaring towards others when you set them, or maybe confrontational by setting them? Put it in the chat if one of those words resonated with you, because I want to challenge your thinking. In order to set a boundary and like carve out space for yourself to either pursue a new professional calling or a higher level of education, or start a new business, or in order for you to save time for yourself, for your health, and or a creative project like what I did was writing a book, right? We need boundaries. And in order for you to make a greater income or make a bigger impact, sometimes we need to, what I call, soften our boundaries and let good things in. So let in that, give yourself permission to say no to helping people too much or accepting too much work as an act of generosity, so that you can have time for what really matters to you. Sometimes you might need to strengthen a boundary and say no to things that are starting to deplete you or exhaust you or make you unhappy. And sometimes you might need to practice saying yes to things that feel risky, and that will help you grow, right? So here's a new reframe to help you feel better about setting boundaries, okay? Strengthen those boundaries or loosen up and allow yourself to relax the boundaries and give yourself permission to pursue certain activities or spending time in different ways. When you think about boundaries, I want you to think about boundaries this way moving forward. Boundaries are the most responsible thing that you can do. If you really care about people, you'll set boundaries so that you stop doing too much for them and remove the opportunity for them to grow as leaders in their own lives. If you reframe boundaries this way, your relationships will flourish. Boundaries are the most caring thing that you can do, the caring action that you can take, because you're thinking about your energy levels and your health and your happiness. And if you're not at your best, you're not going to be a great spouse. You're not going to be an effective, productive leader. Happiness precedes productivity. Happiness comes before greater engagement and creative idea generation at work. Go check it out. There's studies that prove it. This is not just my findings. This is all throughout the world. People have found that happiness precedes career success, marriage success. We need to be taking care of ourselves so we're sustainable. So boundaries are generous. Pretty cool. So we have a choice. We can blame other people for our exhaustion. We can blame other people for why we're feeling resentful and why we're overextended. We can blame the world and society, or we can even blame the weather. We can blame. or we can take responsibility for our lives and we can create a new future. That's exciting. When you start believing, okay, if that's really exciting for you, I want you to write a whole bunch of smiley faces or exclamation points in the chat, because you have the power to change and you always have a choice. You are not stuck. You can change your thinking, you can change your actions, and you can create a flourishing, fulfilling future. So I want to leave time for Q&A now, and I will make sure that next week we save time for live coaching, and you have an opportunity to access creative communication strategies for communicating your boundaries to your spouse, to your children, to your colleagues, to your team, so that you can set your limits with love and you can be empathetic towards other people. So before I open up for Q&A, I want to remind you that taking a stand in your life for your happiness and your health, even though it's a good thing and helpful for everyone else, not everyone will think that. And they may resist your changes and they may not like your limits. So I want you to be prepared that that does happen. And so it can be difficult to set boundaries, even though we know it's good for us, even though we know it's helpful, even though we know it's a generous act. And that's why a community like this, why I'm offering these calls, is so important, because it's a place where you can come and you can be strengthened and emotionally and spiritually feel nourished, so that you can take that stand and you can keep standing, because you got people backing you up and supporting you and pushing you to continue acting in new ways and creating new thought patterns and new habits. So let me end by saying that you are more than welcome to contact me and book a 20-minute creative energy burst session. I want you to have such creative energy right now that I'm opening up 20-minute sessions for people who have never experienced working with me, or maybe you want to ask me more questions and continue a conversation that we had, and you want to get specific strategy for your own situation. It would be my honor to make space for you. But if you want one of those sessions, I want to encourage you to reach out to me soon, because I have some speaking engagements coming up aside from these community calls. And I have my private clients and my group work that I do. So I will do my best to make time for all of you. Please reach out to that email, coacha@amyengelmark.com, and I'll do my best to book you in as soon as possible, as long as space allows. So let me open up now for Q&A and see what questions you have and what insights you are taking away. Anyone have a question? Carol, go ahead. Do you mind sharing your video?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey.
Hi.
I turn it off because I'm on my phone and it wiggles a lot. It's kind of distracting. This conversation has really prompted me to remember that I need to spend more regular, consistent time dedicated to thinking about these things, because it gets lost, right? It gets lost in the everyday shuffle. So when Jordan had said to start slowly with those little steps, right? I was reminded that, it's those little steps done consistently, right? That will get you there rather than a big push all at once and then kind of you give up because your muscles are sore or you're exhausted about thinking about it or whatever it is, right? So yeah, it was a good reminder, like little steps consistently are good. Yeah, and I want to maybe get some friends together once a week or something to talk about these goals that we have, or like Yanni said, with the, creating fun, right?
Mm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Anyway, those are things that stuck with me today.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Carol. It's great to
Yeah.
have you on the call. And you're more than welcome to come next week if you're free. Next Wednesday, May 3rd at 5 again.
Thank you.
Mhm. I think someone, there's so many messages. Sorry, I haven't been able to read them yet. Yanni says, I often get impatient with my startup business, and it's always a good reminder that slowly and surely, while I'm taking care of myself, when I flourish, my business soon will too. Yeah, and if you think about it already flourishing, you just haven't seen it yet. It's like a seed is flourishing when it's covered in the dark. It's literally filled with nutrients, and you're doing that right now, and it's going to burst out and it's going to be beautiful. Love that you're being creative on this call while you listen and interact as well. So any other questions or any specific strategy you want for your own life right now? This is an opportunity to get my support.
I had another question.
Sure.
So, earlier I said that one of my beliefs is that I don't have enough time. So I know that I do theoretically have time, but I feel like if if my time isn't committed to work or something specific, my free time should be committed to my family. And I don't feel like I feel like I spend enough time away from them already. So how do you talk yourself through that and making, sure that your time is worth spending on yourself?
Mhm. So I think of making meaning instead of managing or making more time. So that's really helped me because instead of telling myself a story that time for me has to take this long, I ask myself, how do I want to feel? Okay, I want to feel joyful today, or I want to feel excited today, or I want to feel healthy today. I first start with that. How do I want to feel? And then creative ideas flow in for how I could feel that. And I'm amazed that it didn't take as long as I thought, that it didn't have to happen the way I was telling myself it had to happen in that amount of time, even. I was in the kitchen last year sometime and I was feeling frustrated because I felt like my time was split. Like I wanted to spend time with my family and I also wanted to accomplish something else in my business that day. Can't remember what it was. And the belief that really helps me is I always have more than enough time for what I want to spend it on. And not right at the exact same time, Carol, but I just trust that I always have more than enough time for what I need it for. And often it's the fact is that I'm not feeling okay. It's something else under the layers, under the ground, Carol, that's stopping me from feeling okay and giving myself permission to spend the time that way. And stopping telling myself the old story that it's going to make me feel less connected, or my children to feel less connected to me. Or it's going to be, like hard on my romantic relationship or my marriage, because now I'll spend less time with that person. But you could ask yourself, how could I have both? I love abundant thinking. So how could I feel healthy, or how could I feel happy today and feel connected to my kids or my family? The questions that we ask ourselves help us come up with more creative solutions instead of thinking the old way that produces lack. Renee, did you want to share that out loud, or do you want me to read it?
Okay. Yeah, no, sure. I just struggle so much with all the energy that's coming towards me and in my life that I have a really hard time filtering it out, because a lot of it's unconscious. And so it's exhausting, from the phone to being in a classroom, just being, I find exhausting. And so that's kind of my biggest conundrum, is how to, I know there's boundaries in there, but it's just, I struggle with how, I can create these boundaries, but I can't control what's coming my way. Like, I don't know if I'm saying it properly.
It could be that your nervous system is overtaxed right now too.
Mhm.
And so, for example, I'm going to tell you this quick story because I think maybe you'll relate. I have become way more empathetic and intuitive because of the work that I'm in. And I can feel people's energy like nobody's business. And that's not always great. So it is awesome in that I can help people get to the root of things and get clarity on what they need to move forward quickly, like lightning, which is fabulous. Saves years of time and stress. But I was walking by someone this morning on the beach when I was having my alone time, and just talking to this man, who is such a lovely man, got my heart rate up and tightened my chest a little bit. So it's like, I need to, this works for me. Highly recommend having anchors in your life that ground you. So we talked about that briefly, right? What is it that I need to do so that I start each day feeling more calm than usual, feeling more in control? What is it that I could control in my day so that I'm not pulled like a feather or like a wave on the ocean by every, or rocked on a boat in the ocean, you know what I'm trying to say, by every storm that passes. But you can have an anchor that keeps you stable. So I think that you had mentioned meditation. We'd also, I think, talked about soft heart, tough skin. Did we talk about that? Maybe not. So it's a saying that I came up with that has to do with boundary setting to protect your emotions and to protect your peace. And when I'm setting a boundary, or when I'm just, say, around that man at the beach today, who's not a threat to me, it's just that I work with people so much and I need to be intuitive for my work, and I'm naturally, that's just who I am. Then when I'm around other people and I'm not working, I need to make sure that I'm cognizant of staying the person, like staying soft inside, like who I want to be. I don't want to change that I'm receptive and that I pick up on things, but I also need to protect that energy. So what would tough skin look like in this situation? And maybe tough skin is just like, keep it real short, Amy, keep the talking real short and keep walking so that you can have this downtime before your day starts. Maybe the tough skin looks like, if I see him, I just turn around and I walk the other way. So I don't have to even speak. But that analogy, soft heart, tough skin, can be applied in a number of different ways. For me, it also means don't make up stories, Amy. Like, don't let what someone did impact my heart so much that it hurts me for like days after something really small happened, which would really deplete your energy. That just happened recently, so I had to have soft heart, tough skin.
And I think that soft heart, tough skin, one has to, or I have to find, because it's all about authenticity of self, right? So it's kind of like, this is who I am. And now I need to find a way. So I used to be like, don't be so sensitive, or like wear a shield. And I find even that imagery of wearing a shield, like not me, like I'm not, I get what, yeah. So I can, the skin part is a bit easier for me to visualize. But I guess my great practice and needing to ground, it's just that when it's so tied to your identity, because I'm very out person, like woo, high energy person when I'm engaged in my work, that to be other than that is not me, but because I'm just being authentic. So yeah, it's kind of this conundrum of this is my authentic self in these contexts, but they can be really tiring. I tire myself out.
Exactly. And so you sound very similar to me in that as I get older and as my work becomes even deeper impact with people that I work with, I need to spend more time by myself than I ever have. And I love it. You know, well, I need to, one, ensure it so that I can sustain myself and be the woman and the leader that I want to be. But it's really interesting, and it does make sense that if you're going to be giving at a deep level with people and helping people in very meaningful ways and being a change maker, you better make sure that you are taking care of your needs, and likely on a deeper level than you ever have. Yeah.
And that being a sign of strength and not weakness. That's kind of the
Oh yeah, and wisdom. Like, think of
Mhm.
yourself as wise and responsible when you're making yourself even more of a priority. It's like people don't go into battle without extensive training. And then recuperation time and decompression, all of that's part of the process. So it's like it's being smart. Mhm.
And I like the full package idea. Like, this is, in order for me to be my best, to offer my best self, I need to do all these other things so that when I do give to this world, that they're getting the best of me. And that yeah, there's the full package.
Yeah,
It's
and
not-
we're going to talk about communication strategies so that you don't feel like you want to squirm out of your skin when you try and set the new boundary and you need more time for yourself. But one came up for you that I'll pop into this class today, which is say you're letting your spouse know, hey, I need more time for studies. Sorry, but not sorry. This is something I really want to do. Or, hey, I need more time I'm going to work out now. Or now I'm going to go and play and I'm not going to be available for you, or whatever. What you can say is, I think I lost Renee. What you can say is, hey, I've been thinking that I really haven't been myself lately, and I'm not going to be my full energized self and happy self. And I've been thinking about how that might impact you if I keep not speaking up. So I'm going to let you know what I need so that I can be all that I want to be for you. And that's really helpful because you'll have to rewatch that, Renee, but I was just giving a communication strategy. You're focusing on someone else's needs and thinking ahead of time about what they will be the cost they'll have to pay if you don't make that smart decision and take care of your own needs. So have a listen when I send you the replay, Renee. That might be a helpful communication strategy in your relationship and also in some friendships maybe. So thank you so much for joining me. And please reach out if you want one of those creative energy burst sessions with me. 20 minutes, it's my gift for free, no strings attached. I want to help you. I want to help you get some action plan put together and strategy for your own situation to set healthier boundaries. So book one of those with me soon if you want one. And then next week, please invite a friend to join us. So many people are not comfortable setting boundaries, so they avoid them when their life and everyone around them would benefit if they learned how to set them with more confidence and they began thinking differently about themselves and about what boundaries are actually helpful for to motivate them to take new action. So I want to help them and you next week learn how to communicate and set your boundaries with love, because we all need limits and we need to set them with love. So I want to give you practical strategies to do that. So next Wednesday, same time, 5 p.m. Pacific. I think it's we're now into May 3rd, I believe, next week. So thanks. If anyone has a top insight they want to share or just one word for how you're feeling at the end of the call today, you can open your mic up now and share.
I'm excited that even before this call, I thought about also going to the gym tomorrow because I have a flexible schedule with my carpentry tomorrow, and that I already did that before, but just knowing that I did the right thing.
Awesome.
Talking to this, that I prioritize my own fun and joy, and I feel like I need to go have that workout, and that I prioritize that and I work around it. So yay.
Awesome.
So thank you for saying that is cool.
Yes. And congratulations for building your business around your values instead of postponing your values. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Yanni. Thanks for being on the call. Anyone else want to share an insight or how you're feeling as you leave the call? You're welcome, Vero. You're welcome, Carol. Okay, everyone, have a great evening. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and otherwise I'll see you in the Facebook group. You can ask questions there, and I will see you on next week's call. Have a fabulous night.
Cool. Thanks so much. Bye.
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 A big thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Merci beaucoup. Bonne semaine. See you next week. Thank you.
See you next week. You're welcome.